O'Keefe, the tight end. They will give it power football to Potts, trying the left side, has the first down, has a touchdown! Minnesota Golden Gophers on a 5-yard scamper around left in, and it's 6-zip Minnesota. They get the turnover, they turn it into points, 8 offensive linemen, including the tight end, and boom, just like that, the Golden Gophers are out front 6-0.
Thank you, Minneapolis.
P.J. Fleck, Paul Allen, how you been?
I'm doing elite, Paul. How are you?
My main man, congratulations on that victory over the weekend. You knowing I'm racetrack raised and trained, sometimes it doesn't matter how you get to the winner's circle, as long as you're getting your picture taken after any race, and the final score was 31-26, but you got the money, and you guys found a victory. What positive steps did you guys take during that Miami, Ohio game?
Well, first of all, we got tested, and we got tested late, and our players had to step up and go make plays. They were held to the fire, and they found a way to win the football game. And you need to get battle tested as you continue to get ready for Big Ten play. And we've done that. We played the number 4 team in the country. We had a lead going into halftime, lost the lead. We learned from that. And then we had the lead at halftime. They came back, and instead of losing the lead, we found a way to respond to that. So there's so many positives that came from it. I thought we played a really, really good defense besides 3 plays, which, Miami, Ohio threw the ball down the field 12 times and happened to hit 3 of them, but they hit 3 of them, and they were costly. Those were 3 costly catches. We're contested. We're in the right position. Just our fundamentals and technique weren't exactly the best. And on offense, we were able to run the football, but we've got to be able to throw the ball better and execute when we do. And we found a lot of things that we can get better at. We had some big special teams plays, some special teams kicks, and some returns. So there's a lot to take from it. But again, whether we win or lose, we're always going to learn. And that's what we did this week.
You get Trey Potts goes for 178-2. Obviously, the first game without Mohammed. So either in this game or off this game, when you get a back to go for 178, do you expect the play action to be where you need it? Because when Ibrahim went down, I started thinking, okay, running play action in the next game, it might be difficult. Was it?
A little bit more difficult than we probably expected, which is a credit to Miami. They did a really good job of stacking the box, playing us in different coverages. That took a lot of some of the RPO stuff away. But again, it's all about how the game flows, right? When you're up 21-3, you're going to call it maybe a little bit differently than, if you're down 21-3. And, every play is a play within itself, and there's its own situation. So, we learned a lot from that with coaches. Our coaches learned a lot from that. But, we've got to be able to have, better play action pass. We came out in the second half and went 3 and out, but we threw the ball a little bit. We fell down on a route that was open, and then we dropped the ball. And you can't do those things. And our young wideouts learn from that. And we've got to be able to find a way to continue to be able to be very, very consistent in how we play and execute. It comes down to execution. If we execute those catches, the game isn't as close as it is.
With back to that Ohio State game, I just heard so much about your guys' offensive line and the size and the cunning and the guile and the veteran leadership from that line. And then I watched the Ohio State game, and I'm like, damn, man, yeah, especially the center. I hadn't heard much about the center. When I watched back a couple of plays from your center in that Ohio State game, I thought he was terrific. What I'm getting at here is when you lose maybe your best overall offensive player in Mohammed, yet you have that line and an experienced quarterback, as you move forward, what are some things you can lean on with the injury to the running back as you move forward and kind of cultivate and build?
Yeah, first of all, I think you don't ever sit there and just replace the best player in the Big Ten. I think that's, that was voted on last year, and I think he's one of the best in the country and probably one of the best players ever to play at Minnesota. And so it's hard just to be able to plug somebody in and say, we're going to be the same.
Yeah.
But what it does is it allows the guys that are behind him to step in and get their chance now. And be opportunistic about that chance, whether it's Trey Potts or whether it's Cam or whether it's Bryce or whether it's Bucky Irving or whether it's Kai Thomas. It's who's going to be the next one to emerge. Not only that, it puts more responsibility upon our tight ends with O'Keefe and Brevin Spann-Ford and our O-line to play even better than they have. our wideouts. It puts more responsibility on Chris Hoffman-Bell and Dalen Wright and Daniel Jackson and Michael Brown-Stevens. And they have the ability to do that. It allows, and we got to continue to be more balanced as we go forward, but everybody's got to be able to play a little bit better, and everybody's going to be called upon maybe a little bit more than they would if Muhammad was healthy. So, this is what I meant about this being a team. It takes everybody to play really well and to execute after something like Muhammad injury happens.
PJ, how'd you come across Trey Potts? I mean, he's a Williamsport, Pennsylvania native, and I'm assuming he absorbs the playbook and the nuance and the checks and everything pretty quickly. Credit to this kid, man. Academic All Big Ten in 2020.
Yeah, he's a perfect fit for us. We look around the country for the right fit. Just because a guy's a really good player or highly ranked, it might not be for us. We look for the right fit, and Trey Potts is the right fit for us. He overcame an injury in high school, and I think he kind of got overlooked a little bit. And that's a perfect type of guy for me, where he always has something to prove to himself that he's exactly who he says he is. And he's really good in the pass game. He's got great vision. He's got great balance. He can go from speed to power pretty quickly. He plays the game bigger than he is, which is kind of our MO at tailback. They're all overachievers. And Trey Potts is that, one of the hardest workers on our team, which is credit to Mohamed Ibrahim. Mohamed Ibrahim has come in and completely changed over the years just our entire culture with how hard he works and what he demands from his room. And that has rubbed off on the backs now. And that's part of leaving a legacy. And he's done that. And Trey Potts has done that from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. He's got a great family. And his whole life's important to him. Trey Potts is a guy who loves his whole life, academically, athletically, socially, spiritually. And now it's his opportunity to really put the majority of the carries on his shoulders and lead our football team.
PJ Fleck, weekly 9 to noon, about 10:40 each and every Monday. Colorado, the bill of fare on the road. First road game for PJ's team next week. Of course, it'll be heard on KFAN. This kicker, Matthew Trickett, how did we get him from Kent State? I mean, I ain't trying to jinx anybody, not that jinxes are real, but this kid is terrific.
Well, he's been terrific up to this point, and it's no surprise because he's a wonderful person. And nobody works. I mean, we talk about work ethic, right? PA, and this team works so hard. That's why I said at the beginning of the year, they're so fun to coach because it's fun to coach them because they all want to be coached. I mean, Matthew Trickett is a football player, but he's a kicker.
Yeah.
So that's the MO of our football team. And that's why they're so fun to coach. That doesn't promise you 12 wins, but it promises you that every time you go out there to coach, everybody wants to get better. And that's not every year. That doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes you have to force it. Sometimes there's a lot more resistance. Sometimes you got to convince people. This team wants to be coached, and he's no different. He's kicked in a lot of big games. He was a special teams player of the year last year in the Mid-American Conference. He's a really intelligent young man. His life, again, is really important to him, PA, on and off the field. And he's no different than most of the guys on our team. But, for the opportunity he's been called on, he's rose to the occasion, but he came in yesterday and worked even harder. And that's his change your best mentality.
When you watch back the Colorado Texas A&M game, it's a 10-7 game, which it's antithetical to everything you'll see in college football from a score standpoint. What kind of a game was it? What led to that 10-7?
Well, I think Colorado's defense is spectacular. They fly around, they tackle really well. They run all types of blitzes and stunts, and they're flying around based out of a 3-4. They're coming from all different angles, and they cover really well. So they can bring all that pressure and create a lot of indecision for quarterbacks, murky the water down the field, and really turn it into the second play really quickly. They're really good tacklers. They're really tough. This team won a lot of games last year. They got everybody back. On the offensive side of the ball, the quarterback's young, but he's a really good passer, and then he can run and create with his legs. He's a really great athlete. Offensive line's experience. They got two really good tailbacks that they use, and they got wideouts on the outside that can really play. So, they played to their strength. They played incredible defense. They shortened the game. They ran the ball effectively. And again, their defense really played tremendously and gave them a chance to win at the end.
You're a master motivator and a head coach, and so therefore, you're in charge of everything with the program. But I'm guessing at heart, given you played wide receiver, you coach wide receivers in the NFL, you're an offensive guy. And correct me if I'm wrong here. When I hear they blitz a lot and they're very aggressive, does that make you rub your hands together with a veteran offensive line, a quarterback who's played a bunch of games and nice wide receivers? Don't you invite blitzing in situations like that?
Well, it just depends on what formation and what personnel groupings you're in and what the game plan comes down to. I mean, we want to be as balanced as possible, and balance doesn't always mean PA 50-50. Yeah. It means that if you're a balanced team and you can win being balanced, meaning you can win based on what's presented to win. If you have to throw the ball more because of the blitzes and because of, the different looks and maybe some one-on-one coverage and mixing some zone blitzes in with man coverage, if you have to throw it, you have to be able to win the ball throwing, or win the game throwing. If you have to be able to run the ball, you have to be able to get in heavier personnel, then you have to be able to do that. So I think being the balanced offense is what we're doing everything we can every day to become, whether it's running the ball, throwing the ball, whatever's needed to win the football game. That's what we want to be able to do.
Tell us about Tyler Nubin and also new guys making big plays all game. I mean, great experience, it seemed from afar, PJ, for your depth guys in that Miami, Ohio game.
Well, our depth was challenged. We got basically 5 starters out right now, and our depth was challenged really early in the season. Especially with Mo going down and then Jordan Howden going down and other guys going down. So, with Chris Ottman-Bell going down, it's been challenged. And but I'm always a half full guy, right? And glass half full. And what it did was it provided during training camp and provided some other opportunities, even the last week or so, for other guys to get a lot of reps, gain a lot of experience, get held to the fire and be able to have to respond in pressure situations. Tyler Nubin's one of those guys that, if you go back to his first start, he probably wasn't really proud of maybe his first start, but it's come such a long way. He's an incredible competitor. He's a really good athlete. And he's really become a tremendous football player and taken ownership of the secondary. We needed that this year. And he stepped up. And I think part of that responsibility has been his brother came this year to play on our football team. His name is Jordan Nubin. He's a true freshman. Yeah. And I think that really helped Tyler mature. When you've got blood on your team and you brought him here and told him this is the right place for him, there's a responsibility to really lead him through that and lead him through the tough times that he's going to have and just the changes he's going to have and even the good times. So I think Tyler's really grown up really quickly. He's got a long way to go, but Tyler loves football and he loves playing the game, and it's shown the last few games.
Last one, PJ, and thanks for the time as usual. Glass half full all day, #faith all day. However, on the other side, 0 sacks through 2. How do you guys get home to a quarterback or even maybe apply more pressure without blitzing?
Yeah, I think that was kind of the conundrum you're in when you're playing Ohio State. First of all, you talked about our offensive line being big and strong, and then you walked Ohio State's line out here, and I didn't feel so big and strong anymore when I saw those guys. And we're pretty big, right? And you go into a game plan of, if you just sit there and blitz the quarterback and you leave those guys on one-on-one islands, as to your point earlier, then that might not be the best game plan. And they got the ball out of their hand, and Ohio State moved the pocket, and they're really good up front. Last week's game, if you looked at it, the ball was out of the quarterback's hand immediately, whether it was quick game or whether it was throwing the ball. I mean, they took shots down the field 12 to 14 times where they threw the ball just, down the field. They dropped back, didn't allow any type of read, and just chucked it in the air. So you're not going to get a bunch of sacks when it's that way. Now, we got a bunch of tackle for losses in the run game. I'm going to focus on those things. There'll be plenty of opportunities as we continue to go forward to add more sacks. But if sacks just equaled wins, then that would be the main focus. But in the last 2 games, it hasn't equaled, what it was going to take to win the football games based on the game plan. But we want sacks. Obviously, we promote them. We want to get home with 4. And we've got to continue to do that as we keep going through the year.
You've been to Folsom Field, I assume. My daughter goes to CU Denver. She has a class in Boulder, so I've seen Folsom Field. It's, smack dab on campus. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I've never been there. I've heard a lot about it. I've seen a lot of pictures of it. We do a lot of off-season studies, and our DFO has traveled out there. We've done a lot of studies with professors and the medical people on the altitude of what to do, how to schedule it.
Yeah.
Talk to a lot of NFL organizations that travel out to Denver to go play. What do they do? I mean, we spent hours and hours and hours of creating a schedule this week of what we're going to do and how we're going to be able to do it. And then we're going to apply that this week.
Excellent point. I mean, I would imagine you've heard dehydration a fair amount, right?
Well, I've heard everything: altitude, dehydration, the length of time you're out there, what it does to your body, how long does it take to kick in on the effects of your body, how long do you stay out there until it has an effect, what do you do if you're going to be there longer than 24 hours, what do you do if you're going to be there less than 24 hours, all those types of things. So, and then you got to show the team what it's going to look like. I mean, they have signs all over the place about the altitude, and they brand that really heavily. And so we've shown pictures in the offseason of what that place looks like, what the branding is trying to do to their minds, and they do a good job of that. But, we've put the medical data behind it, the NFL data behind it, and really kind of adapted our schedule accordingly.
Hey, PJ, go tear it up next week. Keep everybody healthy, and I'll chat with you next week, all right?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Row the boat, Sky Mile, go Gophers, and Skull Vikes.
I appreciate you, PJ. See you later. PJ Fleck, weekly 9 to noon.